Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Ringside Report. I am Dave, Freddie, and AJ are with me. Oh, wait, there's Fred. Hold on a second. Where's AJ? AJ's got to be here too, right, Fred?
Where the hell am I?
There's AJ.
What the heck happened, man? You're
I
putting
didn't
that. I know.
I couldn't find the
You pulled
button
a
where
fast one.
I couldn't find the button with Fred and AJ. What's up, everybody? We got a lot of MMA to talk about here tonight. We're going to preview UFC Overeem versus Harris coming up this Saturday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We're going to recap UFC Jacksonville from last night, as the UFC, of course, has done a whole week of fights in Jacksonville, UFC 249. We talked about that on Saturday night. We did a record-breaking edition watch-along on Saturday for UFC 249. It was 5+ hours with Freddie and AJ here and myself watching UFC 249. We broke down the action. We watched the fights. We're going to recap what happened last night, the Glover Teixeira, Anthony Smith fight, and everything else in Jacksonville. We're going to preview the Overeem Walt Harris fight on Saturday. We're going to tell you about Khabib Nurmagomedov. Is he going to be ready for the summertime? And is Justin Gaethje really going to be his next opponent? Also some news, personal news about Khabib that we'll mention. Conor McGregor going on a Twitter rant. John Jones went on a Twitter rant as well. Both of those guys, they seem like they're cooped up in isolation. They want to run wild. They want to talk trash. They want to do a press conference, and they're doing it on Twitter. And we'll read some of their tweets a little bit later on here. We'll also hear from Stephen A. Smith in a clip that I think has got to be fake. There is no way one man can be that foolish, but Freddie and AJ will try and explain to me what Stephen A. Smith was thinking when he was talking about the UFC. And I want to tell you a little bit more. I don't know about that, AJ. I want to tell you a little bit more about, overall what I think of some of these guys. Because, the UFC is the only sport going right now. So, a lot of these guys that talk about sports, the stick and ball sports, now they're talking about the UFC because they have to, right? They're being forced to because they have nothing else to talk about. And, goddamn, these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about as far as fighting. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on here on the show, making sure that you listen to people who actually know what they're talking about. We're not talking about guys that look like they can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag or guys that look like they're tweaking on TV. We are some guys that, we take martial arts very seriously. We've been martial artists for most of our lives. Well, Freddie is a very accomplished guy. AJ's been a martial artist his entire life, which spans over 75 years in martial arts. So we have really been in the game for a long time. We're missing the gym right now. I mean, guys, how bad do you want to roll right now? You're not hearing any of these, media people talking about their thirst for the gym and their thirst for action. But we're seriously doing this, and we seriously love martial arts, not just watching martial arts, but also practicing jiu-jitsu and, whatever we can do right now. I'm itching. They're talking about a social bubble, right? Extending that bubble and bringing more people into that bubble. The first person I'm bringing into my bubble is my brother because I can roll with him, and I'm going to bring him on down to my house, and we're going to do some jiu-jitsu. I know you guys are you guys must be aching for it, right? I mean, it's brutal, and now you wonder when we're ever going to do jiu-jitsu again, when these gyms are going to open up. And we had Glenn on the show a couple weeks ago who owns Gracie Baja. He told us, about his gym out in the West Island of Montreal. And the gyms don't look like they're opening anytime soon. I saw the premier of this province talking about different sports that you can start doing, like tennis and golf, and sports that you can practice at a safe distance from any other human being. But martial arts, not really one of those sports, so it doesn't look like gyms are going to be opening up anytime soon for boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling clubs, anything like that. Doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon.
Freddie.
No, unfortunately,
yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no contact sport that's going to happen anytime soon. They announced here locally that we're going to be allowed to golf, and we're going to be allowed like to play tennis, but only singles tennis, not doubles. I mean, it's okay if there's a net between the two guys, but don't be on the same side. But
But
yeah.
what if you live with your doubles partner?
You're screwed.
See?
I don't know, man.
Like, what if
I don't know.
I played doubles tennis, like me and my girlfriend against my mom and my dad? So we stay at a different distance from my mom and my dad who don't live with us, but we're on the same side of the tennis court. See, the rules don't even make sense, Fred. You could play singles but not doubles.
Well,
but what if your doubles partner is your conjoint and lives with you? It doesn't make sense.
Last week I told you I made my daughter a felon because like I was taking a walk with her, and hey, there's a soccer field, so took the ball and we kicked a little soccer. And then my girlfriend sent me the link where in my city that is illegal. You're not even allowed to go play into the soccer field. I mean, it's a wide field of grass and 2 metal nets, but yeah, you're not allowed. It's a little bit stupid.
Yeah,
As soon as I'm allowed, as soon as I could bring somebody at my place, we're rolling. I got some mats. I'm in my basement right now.
Man.
I got space. I just
Yeah.
need somebody, but we're not allowed still.
Yeah, that's it. We're not allowed to have people, but they're talking about that social bubble, and if you can extend it, and I'm talking about, family, a blood relative here. Hopefully I can get my brother down to my home so we can start doing some jiu-jitsu in my living room, because I bought the mats. Remember, guys, I was talking months ago now when this thing started. I bought a bunch of mats because I felt the incoming apocalypse, so I prepared myself. But now I don't even have my brother around to roll around with. So we are thirsting for jiu-jitsu. We're thirsting for martial arts. Thankfully, the UFC quenching our thirst a little bit, although I can't say I was watching the UFC and I was a bit jealous seeing those guys get to fight and, get in there and do some fighting. I was like, man, like seeing those guys roll. What was that fight where they were doing all sorts of sweet jiu-jitsu? It was Bryce Mitchell and, God, what was it?
I forget against who.
You know what I'm talking about, though? It was at UFC 249. It was the Bryce Mitchell. I'll tell you here in a second, his opponent, Charles Rosa. It was the second fight of the night, and they were just doing some sweet jiu-jitsu, really nice rolling on the ground, and I was watching that fight jealous as hell. I was like, man, these guys get to do martial arts right now. I'm so jealous to watch these guys do what they do. Not jealous seeing Tony Ferguson take that beating. Not jealous seeing Anthony Smith take that beating last night. Not jealous of seeing that whatsoever. I don't want that at all in my life, what happened to Anthony Smith. That was horrifying, and we'll talk about his corner and how his corner failed him. I just want to give a shout-out to Patrick. He jumped on the Super Chat. We appreciate everybody supporting the Ringside Report Network, supporting the channel. Patrick C. Hamilton says that we are his go-to out in Regina. Oh, I didn't realize that you were out in Saskatchewan, Patrick. So thank you for supporting, Patrick. I want to say
Rough
what's
Riders.
up to Patrick, of course, for always supporting the channel. We appreciate it very much. Shout out to BTT Canada Jiu-Jitsu watching the show right now. That's AJ's home team. D Skeet, that's Fred's buddy Dwayne watching right now. Jason Morneau Pete says, what's up? What's up, Jason? Johnny North.
BJJ guy.
Johnny North giving us some terrible news on the chat that I'm not even going to read. You can watch me and Johnny tomorrow afternoon at 12:45. We will be talking about the Dark Side of the Ring Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom. I can't say there was a lot of stuff that was missing in that Dark Side of the Ring. I'm a big Road Warriors fan, and I know a lot about those guys, and there was a lot missing that we'll talk about tomorrow about the Road Warriors and the Legion of Doom. But right now we're talking about UFC and what happens in mixed martial arts right now. And let me tell you something that happens in mixed martial arts. Conor McGregor makes news. You can't really go anywhere without talking about Conor McGregor. We can't seem to do a show here, guys, without talking about Conor McGregor at least once. And, of course, when somebody in Conor's world fights, he's going to comment about it. And Conor was watching the fights on Saturday night, and he saw Tony Ferguson lose to Justin Gaethje. And, of course, there's been talk of Ferguson and Gaethje fighting McGregor at some point. McGregor has that history with Khabib. He lost the fight to Khabib. He wants the rematch with Khabib. and Tony Ferguson was supposed to be next for Nurmagomedov, but instead it seems like it will be Justin Gaethje after Gaethje picks up a very impressive victory on Saturday night. I don't think we've ever seen Justin Gaethje look better. I heard Dana White at the press conference say that he didn't think Tony Ferguson looked great. He looked a little bit slow, and he thinks that doing 2 weight cuts in such a short amount of time probably negatively affected his performance. And that's what we were talking about, back in mid-April when Tony Ferguson cut weight for no reason, just because he was supposed to fight on April 18th or whatever it was, the 19th. He cut weight, and he did it kind of just to show that he could, but then 3 weeks later he's fighting Justin Gaethje and has to cut weight again. I don't think that that was a wise move. I don't think that anybody thought that that was a wise move, and the UFC president even pointed it out at the press conference, saying, I don't want to take anything away from Justin Gaethje, but I think that Tony Ferguson looks slow, and I think that the 2 weight cuts probably affected his performance. Do you think that Tony Ferguson looked not quite himself on Saturday night?
Well, he didn't look himself. Go, AJ, go.
I was going to say is that Tony Ferguson, you've got a guy who was on a 12-fight winning streak. You got a guy that is training very differently than most guys, individually and whatnot. But the problem is that he was training for a specific fighter for the longest time. In fact, 6 times, and it never actualized. The problem with him is that he's fighting for Khabib. When you're fighting a guy, you're studying a certain fighter, his ways, his best part of his game, his worst part of the game, and what he is going to come out and do to you based on your weaknesses. So he was preparing for Khabib for the longest time. Then you got Gaethje that comes in really last minute, in a sense, and your whole game plan is out the window. You don't have as much advice as you can, and you don't have as many guys to train with that are like Khabib. So the problem with Tony is that his confidence is so high. And you know what? Regardless of what happened to him, and I've always said this to all fighters, if you're going to lose good, because people will always remember you. And that's what Tony did. He lost, but he lost good. And the thing is that it wasn't the fight he was prepared for, and that's what took him away. He didn't understand Gaethje's potential. And to be honest, when you look at Gaethje's career, he's a wrestling background. And the thing is that his stand-up, I always thought it was good. But on Saturday night against Tony, I've come to realize that Gaethje's striking is over the top. And you know what? He didn't just beat Ferguson. He picked them apart. And you know what? I give it to Tony to go 5 rounds and to sustain such a beating that most people would have obviously given up. And you know what? Tony didn't. And that shows you what he has. He's not only about heart, soul,
sure,
and a rock-solid chin,
Tony
but he's got it.
Sure. AJ, Tony looked really good. It was a great fight. Nobody's going to deny that. I was asking you about the weight cut. I don't think you ever answered the question. Classic AJ, just avoiding my question. That's why I'm going to ask Fred. Fred, what do you think? Do you think that the weight cut negatively affected his performance? Did he look not quite himself on Saturday? I was wondering because
I'm not going to give you a better answer.
I didn't think. Oh man, see, I didn't. I'll give you a better answer then.
I'll give you a shorter one. I'll give you a shorter one though. I'm just gonna say maybe.
Look, I was watching the fight on Saturday, and I was thinking Tony Ferguson wasn't landing as much. He didn't seem as.
But can we give props to Gaethje? I mean, I'm hearing both you guys.
No. I'm not going to take anything away from Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is, incredible.
A warrior.
Yeah,
and it's
incredible.
The type of fight that he could win.
I want to give credit to Tony Ferguson, okay? Because Tony Ferguson is, sorry, not just Tony Ferguson, Trevor Whitman, all right? Gaethje's coach. Because Trevor Whitman is one of the greatest coaches in the world, right? And I think that his work with Justin Gaethje was really evident on Saturday night. I think that the level of striking of Justin Gaethje was far superior to what Tony Ferguson brought to the table. I thought that Tony Ferguson did look not as good as he has in the past, and I'm not sure what exactly that was, I thought
Well, it was
maybe I
Gaethje
thought
punching him
it was Gaethje
and
for
kicking
sure.
him.
Sure, but I thought that maybe it was an age thing as well because Tony is getting older and he has been through some wars. It's not like when he wins his fights, he doesn't go through some shit. Tony Ferguson takes a beating. He gives it out, but he really takes a beating every time he goes out there. Most fights of his, he winds up bloodied, right? So I thought, it was the wear and tear. I thought it was maybe age. But Dana White bringing up the weight cut, I think that there were
I think
a
lot
number of
people
factors
were
there,
too
but
confident.
Gaethje for sure was incredible. And I want to give a shout out to Jason Morneau Pete, who just says, keep up the good work on the show. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, I think
he gave us
Jason
200. It's 200 Mexican dollars, which I think is
Jason
about.
is awesome.
It's about $12 Canadian. But we appreciate
Thanks,
you very
Jason.
much, and we appreciate you giving us the super chat in Mexican dollars. Arriba.
Let me touch on Gaethje a little bit here. Okay, you guys, I feel you're not giving props to Gaethje because everybody was confident Tony was going to win. I picked Tony to win. But I also said, this is the type of fight that Gaethje could, prevail. This is Gaethje's career where he's able to bang with a lot of people. If you look, this is not the first time that he's been in a war and he came out a winner. Now, Ferguson, of course, he didn't look as good as usual. He lost. I mean, he's been on a 12, 13 fight winning streak. He lost. He didn't look as good. That's pretty official. But I think that we got to give the props to Gaethje, and if anything, we got to admit that he had a shot in this fight, and he proved it. Yes, this is the best version of Gaethje we've seen, but it's also the type of game plan that we could expect of him. Gaethje didn't come with a new game plan. Gaethje didn't really surprise Ferguson with anything new. This is who Justin Gaethje is, and let's give him some props. And now I want to see him against Khabib. I want to see if Khabib doesn't bring him to the ground, Gaethje's going to be an issue also for Khabib because he likes to trade and standing up. Gaethje is as strong as almost anybody in the division.
But let's not forget the second round here. Ferguson dropped Gaethje. And to be honest, I thought going into the third, it was going to be the time when Ferguson actually comes out and really plays his game. So, I mean, I agree with you. Gaethje was phenomenal. And I think in his pre-fight conference, he had said that he was going to give him 18 to 19 minutes of hell. And the truth of the matter is he gave him 23 minutes of hell. The thing is that Ferguson did drop him in the second. Somehow or another, I think, even though he dropped him, there was something off with Ferguson. There was an injury at that point. I don't know what it was, but he still stayed there. But you know what? Generally, Ferguson goes in for the kill. Dropping a guy like Gaethje, any other Ferguson, any other day, the third round would have been his, and the fight would have ended. I called it a submission in that fight, and there was no submission attempt whatsoever, which is surprising.
And you did see Tony go for a couple takedowns at certain points in the fight, and Gaethje's sprawl was incredible, man. The speed, it's just boom,
incredible.
Boom, right back up to his feet, just boom, no way, back up to his feet. He's not even having it. It's automatic, and you see that wrestling pedigree, but he doesn't really use it when he fights. He's a brawler. Justin Gaethje goes right at you, moves forward, throws punches, takes punches, doesn't care.
But hard.
Yeah, man, hell of a chin, and he's super dangerous. And I do like that matchup with Khabib because, you see that sprawl of Justin Gaethje. You know that he's got a legit amateur background. I think that he's got good enough takedown defense to give problems to Khabib. I'm not sure that Khabib won't still find a way, though. I'm not convinced after seeing Justin Gaethje. We didn't really see him in enough Khabib-like scenarios. I haven't seen Justin Gaethje against a real grinder wrestler maybe ever. Well, not in the UFC at least, right? We haven't seen him face that type of fight, so I'm not sure. I think that, hey, Gaethje's got a shot because he hits hard. He's got great cardio. He keeps coming forward. Solid boxer, and he's got good wrestling. But it's Khabib, man. Undefeated, the Eagle. He's just the guy. And I don't know, man. Right now, I think Gaethje's really good. but I think matchup-wise, Khabib will be able to handle it.
Yeah, but let's not forget something. Who hits harder, Gaethje or Ali Aquinta? Remember that fight? And when Khabib got peppered, and he was getting peppered quite well from Al, I can assure you this:
come on,
Gaethje
man.
has a stronger left, more power behind that punch. And you know what? He's going to engage a lot more. And if you remember that fight,
Gaethje's better than Iaquinta.
Hey, AJ, who hits
Yeah, of
harder?
course.
Who hits harder? Who's a better puncher, Justin Gaethje or Conor McGregor?
I would say Conor McGregor with the quicker. Well, he's a left.
And how'd
He's a
Khabib
southpaw,
do
so
there?
it's always harder.
How'd Khabib do there? He did great.
You know what? But you know what?
He could take those punches,
but
no
I'm
problem.
going to tell you, Khabib had nothing to worry about with leg takedowns.
He took a couple. He took a couple. He ate him, and he walked through.
He didn't have to worry about that from Conor. He's going to have to worry about that with Gaethje, who has both levels of top level game, and that's a different story. So you know what? I'm just going to say.
I think it will have mostly
I'm a
to do.
Khabib fan, but it's.
It will mostly have to do with Gaethje stopping the takedown from Khabib because, like you say, Dave, Gaethje never fought somebody like Khabib. I'm looking at his record right now, and I don't see anybody with a wrestling pedigree that's really worth mentioning that much. You know, Michael Johnson, he's not really that much of. He's nowhere near of the quality
Didn't
of
do
Khabib.
too well.
So exactly. So Gaethje looks great. Hasn't like he stays standing up, but Khabib's relentless. When he pursues a takedown, he goes for it like nobody else. So that's going to be to me the real story of that fight is if Gaethje is able to keep it standing up. I'm going to give the edge to Gaethje probably. Like if Gaethje is not, if Khabib doesn't bring Gaethje to the ground, Gaethje's going to win the stand up against Khabib. But if Khabib gets that takedown, I think he'll grind him and probably either win a TKO or a decision against Gaethje.
But let's be honest, Fred. Let's be honest. That fight is not going to take place. That fight is not anywhere close to being taken. It's not going to happen this year. It might happen maybe next year. But once I saw Ferguson go down, I think it was. I texted you guys and I said, "That's it. Here comes Conor." And that's exactly it. This is what the UFC wanted. They wanted Conor to come back, and this is going to be the perfect opportunity for him to come back to fight Khabib. Gaethje's going to have his turn at some point, but it's not going to be against Khabib next. And it's too bad because he technically deserves it.
I'm gonna say it might be Gaethje against Conor because right now, who knows with Khabib?
I don't think it's happening. Well, Khabib actually said he's ready to fight in July. Straight up.
Yeah, that's what he said, but
happen.
I don't know if that's really true. And I think that you've seen Khabib against Gaethje style fighters before, and you've seen what Khabib is able to do. I just don't think that you've ever seen Gaethje against a Khabib style fighter, and I think it's going to be tough for Justin Gaethje. We'll see. I think that is the fight to make. Dana White says that's the fight to make. But there's a lot going on.
There's reports. Yeah, exactly. His
with
father,
Khabib's father is ill. He was in a coma.
Oh, really?
Apparently, he just came out of the coma. So Khabib's going through some things for sure. And he said he was going to be ready to fight in July. But, of course, Khabib's father is also his coach and just a huge influence in his life. So at this point, you add to the fact that we're in a global pandemic right now, so getting out of Russia won't be the easiest thing to do. I'm not convinced that Khabib Nurmagomedov is actually going to be fighting in July.
Gaethje.
I think that's unlikely. Conor Gaethje makes sense to me. I would be down for that. Conor says he's ready to fight now. Conor wants to fight. There's a lot of rumors about Conor and Nate 3 going down. Conor and Nate Diaz fighting in a trilogy fight. A lot of people are talking about that right now, but it doesn't seem like anything is materializing. I could see them doing the Conor fight on Fight Island with Justin Gaethje maybe. That's possible. I think Conor might fight this summer. Like, if I had to bet on one of those guys fighting this summer, I'd bet on Conor and Gaethje over Gaethje and Khabib, just because I think it's going to be easier for Conor to get out of Ireland and do a fight than it will be for Khabib to get out of Russia. But who knows, man? Everything's changing on a daily basis, right? Schools here were supposed to open, next week? and now they're like, nah, September. They said that today, right? So things change just on a dime with this whole pandemic thing, so it's hard to predict, right? It's hard to predict what's going to happen, who's going to fight when, because right now, you don't know. Everybody's in different countries. Every country has different rules that are constantly changing, and we're here to watch the fights and kind of analyze it from that perspective. We're not trying to follow all the coronavirus rules from every country in the world, right? That's not our job.
Yeah, but that's the problem right now. Like you guys were talking earlier about like gyms not opening and whatnot. But if you look at all of 2020, there's going to be a lot of surprises in all divisions because no one's actually training properly. And Ferguson is one of them as well. So you know what? It's great to say that Gaethje won and he won well. But whoever has an edge with a personal gym and access to a lot of like coaches and whatnot, in some way or another, they're going to be ahead of the game. And that's the thing, like I just find it like this year is going to be a real unfair year for a lot of fighters that don't have as much money to be able to train the way they usually do. So you know what? We'll see.
It's going to be tough for sure to train properly and get ready for fights. I know some fighters don't want to fight at all, don't want to take fights unless they can or they feel like they're fully prepared, right? Stipe Miocic was talking about that. Dana seems like he's ready to get this Stipe-Daniel Cormier fight done, but Stipe seems like he's going to wait around, and he's not really down to take that fight. There's talk that Francis Ngannou would just fight Daniel Cormier for an interim heavyweight championship or the heavyweight championship because they would strip Stipe for the
Say that fast. You want to strip him?
They're going to stip Stipe.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Would you fight Ngannou for $23,000?
No.
For 23, forget
Because
it.
that's what Jairzinho got. I mean,
terrible.
like that. Yeah, like you shouldn't be getting $23,000
You
to
gotta
fight.
give me.
He got more than
you
that.
gotta give me $23,000 just to stick that extra long Q-tip up my nose for the corona testing. Forget the fight. You give me the 23 grand for the Q-tip, and then you give me another 23 million to fight Francis Ngannou. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not fighting Francis Ngannou. John Jones put his hand up though. You see that? You want to get to that? I wanted to get to Conor McGregor though because it kind of ties into the whole Khabib and Gaethje thing because Conor, it wasn't actually the night of the fight. It was a couple days later. We'll get to John Jones. He seems to want to fight Francis Ngannou, which I think is ill-advised, but we'll talk about that. Here's Conor McGregor. Let's see some of his tweets about Gaethje, Ferguson, Khabib, and everything going on in the McGregor division, 155 pounds. So, Conor McGregor, the fans make the sport. Watching the other night, I was against going in without them, but it will be my fucking pleasure to display the power I possess with zero background noise for them. It's me and Justin next, as Khabib is the biggest bottle fighter in the game. Guarantee it. What's a bottle fighter? Anybody know? Maybe that's an Irish.
Fighter.
Maybe that's an Irish term. We need to get our boy Wally on the line to explain some of these Irish fighting terms. Wally has the best fighting terms. He's like, he talked about UFC 249. He called it a straightener. It's gonna be a right straightener between two something. I don't know. They got great terms out there in Ireland. Here's more. Conor, I love Tony. We represented him amazingly at Paradigm Sports and were betrayed for a promise of a baseball contract. I don't know what that is. So Tony and Conor were part of the same management team. I don't understand the baseball contract. Did somebody steal Tony Ferguson away from the Paradigm management, telling him he was going to play baseball?
Well, he always has a baseball in his hand at weight.
Yeah, but come on, man. You're 37 and you don't play baseball. You're not going to play. He's not Michael Jordan, okay? But frame and preparation here was just embarrassing. His methods and conversation are humorous/enjoyable, but he was never the level perceived, although tough. What do you think about that? Conor saying he was never the level perceived, basically saying he was never as good as people thought that he was. He was tough, but never as good. Well, what's that about?
Well, that's really pushing it.
I don't know. All right, let's continue. I think that's kind of a dick move.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dave, someone answered the bottle thing. Jason Monroe Pete boxer that it's like a can fighter, like a tomato can, like it's a nobody.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Where did you see that?
I saw that on the chat,
Oh, I'm not.
but I think it's been retracted.
Oh,
I mean,
all
if
right.
you
Well,
look at who,
I don't see it.
It's like say you're
like
fighting a bomb.
Ferguson,
You know?
Whoa.
Ferguson has defeated some decent fighters still. Like his list of wins is nice. Like 13 wins in a row against some legit fighters, 12 wins in a row against some legit fighters. Can't take that away.
Yeah, I agree. It is Dustin/Tony next when Tony heals. Oh. This is interesting. If he does, Dustin will beat him. Also, if changes are not made, which they won't, Dustin, although game and in the mix, will be fed to the floor again. Couple wins here, there, then folded in half, rinse and repeat, Dustin career. Wow, so he's saying that it's going to be Dustin and Tony Ferguson next. So Conor, he thinks he knows what's next for those two guys.
Which makes kind of sense.
Now he's talking. Yeah, why not? Conor, the matchmaker. Justin, there is no danger in a man that hugs legs, we all know. Try and dance around what the real threat is here all you want. I'm going to fucking butcher you. Your teeth, I'm going to put them on a fucking necklace. Speak on my skills as a father, you are fucking dead. What did Gaethje say about Conor as a father?
Wow.
I didn't hear anything about that. So, Conor's telling Justin Gaethje that there's no danger in a man that hugs legs, Khabib. So, dance around the real threat, which is me, and I will fucking butcher you. So Conor, going really hard. I like that I can finally quote Conor properly on the show. When we were on the radio, I used to have to dance around what Conor was really saying, but now I can actually say the words that McGregor is saying here. I can really quote the man properly.
Conor takes the politician approach where he just repeats a lie until people believe it, I guess, because let's not forget.
What are you talking about, Freddie?
He got dominated by
Yeah,
Khabib. He's not the guy.
Yeah, but let's not forget.
There's no danger in a man that hugs legs. How about the danger in a man that... Hold on, AJ. How about the danger in a man that wraps his arm around your neck and squeezes until you tap, tap, tap? I think there's a danger there, Conor McGregor, right? Because that's exactly what happened between him and Khabib. Khabib put his arm around Conor's neck in a rear naked choke, and Conor went tap, tap, tap. That's danger, because if Conor didn't recognize that danger by tapping out, he would have gone unconscious. So let me tell you, if Khabib's crew jumps in and Conor's unconscious, it's not a good night for Conor McGregor, okay? So Conor's talking about Khabib's not dangerous. If he's not dangerous, if he's not a real threat, then how come you couldn't beat him in a fight? Doesn't really make sense now, does it?
Dave, there was a good tweet above, something about representing the United States of America.
Shut up, AJ. We're getting to it.
Man.
By God.
Jesus.
Don't rush me.
Do an Irish accent while you say it.
I don't do it. You do it.
I can't really see. I don't got my glasses on.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you ever say you represent the great nation of the United States. How's that?
It sounds like half Southern. It was terrible. No true American would speak so highly of or allow a convicted member of a jihadi terror cell represent them. He's talking about Gaethje's manager, Ali Abdelaziz. Never forget, you are a fucking blind fool, and I'm going to finish the job. God damn. Going hard at Justin Gaethje and, of course, his manager. Khabib, you absolute embarrassment. Scurrying, hiding rat as usual. As I've said it many times, as has been seen many times, through the pane of glass, it was confirmed what was always known. No comment. LOL. An embarrassment to real fighting. So that was Khabib's comment on Twitter after the Ferguson-Gaethje fight. He just wrote no comment. I don't know what that was about, but whatever. After this division demolition job, it is 170 pounds. So Conor says he's getting through 155, then he's going up to 170. See you in July. Irish flag, Clover, American flag. Super excited for the lightweight title bout in July. Whoever that's going to be, I guess, whatever. This is the next day Conor's going at it. And I think Conor continued, didn't he? Was his rant over? Happy International Nurses Day. Yeah. Without me, this whole ship sink. Never forget that. Big Yahtzee. Wait, so the lightweight title is not in July? But I thought Ready July. So I guess the lightweight title is not happening in July, according to Conor. And there's Conor talking about his whiskey, talking about giving stuff to hospitals, charity work.
Good for him.
And now he says praying for the recovery of Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, a man responsible for more world champions across multiple fighting disciplines than we even know. A true martial genius. Very saddened upon hearing this news tonight. Praying for the Nurmagomedov family at this time. So
What happened?
after all that, well, Khabib's father is not doing well. Here's a quote from Dana White. Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov is a true martial artist who lives a life of pride, honor, and respect. He instilled those same values in his son, world champion Khabib, at an early age, and was always in his corner throughout his career. I know how close Khabib is with his father, and I'm saddened to hear about his current state. My thoughts are with Abdulmanap and the Nurmagomedov family as he continues to fight. So,
I hope he's going to be okay, man.
yeah. So Conor,
We don't know anything about
Conor
it?
did wish him well. No, I don't know much about it other than he was in a coma, but now he's not in a coma. But he's on shaky ground. I don't know. He's ill. But Conor went pretty hard on Khabib, Tony Ferguson, and Justin Gaethje. He seems pretty interested in fighting any of those guys. And like we were talking about, with the current state of Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor seems ready to go. I would not be surprised at all if we saw Gaethje and Conor McGregor this summer.
That's what I said earlier. I think it makes sense. Look, Khabib, I think earlier in the week, I saw him say that he would be ready for the end of summer. But I still believe like Ramadan is not over yet, I think. And he said he needs a little bit of time after that. I never thought that summer made sense for Khabib. So if Conor wants to fight before, let's say, November, let's say Conor wants to fight in July or August, well, Gaethje makes a lot of sense. And it's a fight I think that would sell a lot. You got one American and one trash talker, which is almost like an American, and that's gonna sell. That's gonna sell a lot of pay-per-views. I'm telling you, if you put Gaethje and Conor on promos, you're gonna sell. Plus, you got a bunch of highlights to show from these two guys. These two guys are always in fights that delivers. This has everything to be a success. So I would go ahead with Gaethje versus Conor, and whoever wins that gets Khabib.
Look, if Conor does fight Gaethje, the way Gaethje beat Ferguson, and Conor comes out and actually knocks out Gaethje, then all of a sudden Conor's stock is back at the top. There's no doubt about it. I think for sure, if that fight takes place with Gaethje and Conor wins, Conor is back at the top, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fear in a lot of camps because Gaethje was no joke in this fight.
Well, we'll see, man, but I am not going to bet on Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting anytime soon, so Conor might be able to slide in and fight Gaethje. I thought Conor was going to slide in and replace Gaethje maybe and take the fight with Khabib, but now it seems like Khabib is maybe on the shelf for a little bit. Just one last thing on the Tony Ferguson-Justin Gaethje fight. They were standing up a lot and trading, and one analyst, commentator, ESPN guy, Stephen A. Smith, he, oh, man. Well, I'll
play the clip.
I'll play the clip. Let's listen.
Gaethje fight Saturday night, and there was so much striking. I was surprised there wasn't a little bit more wrestling or what have you. And then I remember the coronavirus pandemic coming on, and in my mind, I certainly have no time for this, but in my mind, my attitude is that guys were a bit reluctant to grapple unless necessary. Ferguson and
okay, what? So, I don't know. The audio is kind of weird on that. It's like a weird little audio clip. It's been going around on MMA Twitter all day. And there's Stephen A. Smith talking about Ferguson and Gaethje and saying they didn't want to grapple because of the coronavirus. Now, there is blood. There is blood and sweat and all sorts of shit flying around the cage. They're in close proximity to each other as it is. The grappling isn't going to make it more dangerous than it already is for your risk of contracting coronavirus from your opponent. A. B, the UFC tested everybody and they were negative, so no. And C, this isn't even Stephen A. Smith doesn't know shit about MMA. Stephen A.
Or
Smith
jiu-jitsu
doesn't
or
understand the coronavirus. Like, he basically
Yeah.
doesn't understand how this works. Like,
Because let me give you this example.
You get it, by coughing and stuff. Like, if people cough near you, it's, if you high five somebody, that's not it. It's not a skin to skin contact. That's not how you get it. And even then, it's just baffling that he would make a statement like this. It's just, it doesn't show a lack of UFC knowledge. It shows a lack of just basic human intelligence, and it really makes me wonder, like, what is happening with this guy? Is he just so fried on whatever's going on that he can't form a coherent thought? Because, my God, Stephen A. Smith, every time this guy comes on my radar, it's something stupider than the last time. It's crazy.
Dave, you know what? Let's look at, like, Stephen A. Smith the last time. Yeah, I forgot what it was with boxing or whatnot. Then he put out a video on boxing, on how his boxing skills are, and it was an embarrassment.
Oh, yeah.
This is a guy this guy's never been in a MMA gym, or he's never been in a jiu-jitsu or a wrestling gym to understand that we don't have to worry about COVID. We got to worry about a lot more stuff in these training facilities.
No, AJ, that's a different story.
But
you're
I
talking
know,
about
but I'm just saying
ringworm and staff is what you're talking about again.
Right,
yes, I know.
Right. But
you're more worried
is,
about
like,
staff than you are about COVID. I get it, AJ.
Oh, 100%. But the thing is this, is
well,
that...
worry no more, my friend.
But he covers...
There's no jiu-jitsu for the future.
That's right. Don't worry about staff, bro.
He covers basketball. Why is basketball would be like any safer? You got like 12 guys on each team that passes around a ball with their sweat and all that. So like, how can, like, I mean, it's just
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a dumb
exactly.
It's
not
crazy
a logical
comment. It's crazy. He's like, why weren't they grappling? Why weren't they doing that? Why were they just throwing punches? Oh, it must be because of coronavirus. What? What? Do you understand?
It doesn't make any sense, man.
You understand how much blood was being spilled there? Do you get? Oh my goodness, it's just wild, and it just. I saw some people last night. I was watching the fight, and I was just like, my goodness. A lot of these analysts at the UFC hire, they're really good, right? The Daniel Cormier, the Joe Rogan, the Paul Felder, Dominic Cruz. They're all fantastic. Even John Anik, I think he does a really good job. A lot of the people that are paid by the UFC, that are on the UFC broadcast, are very good. I really have no complaints with the UFC broadcast team. I'm trying to come up with one right now because I'd love to, but I can't really come up with a complaint about the UFC broadcast team. I feel like the UFC broadcast team does a really good job. Is there anything that you guys don't like about the UFC's team? Because I'm about to unleash on everybody else.
No, I mean, it's fun. They're knowledgeable, and that's the thing. It's if you don't play the sport,
Stephen A's not there for knowledge.
I'm
gonna defend him right away and say he's not there for knowledge. He's there. You see, you gotta see Stephen A. Smith as a useful idiot, okay? Because what we want from him is to bring more fans to our sport. And look, we got to be humble enough to admit that he's a huge star in the entertainment world. So we don't need his MMA knowledge. We just need him to bring fans to watch the sport that we love. We want our sport to grow.
But Freddie, the thing is that if you want a sport
useful
to grow,
idiot.
people have to know, but they have to know the sport as not being a talk fight where there's actually it's a human chess game. And when you got a guy like that talking and spewing stuff that's not about our sport, like I love basketball. I like watching basketball. I'm not great in playing basketball, but I'll never go up against anybody that has basketball knowledge and tell them how the game is
Why not,
analyzed.
Man?
But you can't,
Go for
because
it,
what
man.
it does is it cheapens
man.
the sport. Put AJ on a basketball feed, and I'm gonna get hate mail forever. I'll probably get somebody will beat me because I'm screwing up the sport. So don't screw up the sport, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, I just don't want to hear the opinion of non-MMA people on MMA. I just hear so many of these sports guys that don't know the first thing about fighting now talking about fighting because their sports aren't happening and they have nothing to talk about, so they have to talk about the UFC because it's the only thing going on. Like,
like hockey guys.
Well, whatever, hockey, basketball guys, football guys, whatever they are, these guys are trying to keep their jobs, so they're trying to talk about the only sport in town right now, which is the UFC, and they are just exposing how little they know about the UFC and how just crazy some of their opinions are. It's really nuts to hear some of these guys just spew pure bullshit.
You see?
It's just bullshit. People are just lying to you, pretending to know what they're talking about. It's fucking baffling.
What bothers me is the ones that go right now that, they got nothing to cover, so they just go, oh, this is the barbaric sport. Because there are those journalists out there also that will just say, like, oh, wow, there's only this barbaric stuff going on. And those are the ones that bother me the most. But other than that, man, Stephen A., come to the party. You're going to learn MMA with time.
But it's people that are so-called MMA analysts and experts out there, too. I'm talking about those guys, some of the people that cover the sport on a day-to-day basis. I look at them sometimes and hear what they're saying, and I'm like, do you even watch MMA? Do you understand the basic tenets of the sport? Do you get it? Do you get it? A lot of you guys are looking like you don't get it. A lot of people that talk about MMA look like they have no idea.
They look like they've never done MMA.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you don't know the difference, if you can't apply a triangle choke, just a basic triangle choke. If you don't know, you have to have the arm in, you pull the head, just that. If you don't know that, I don't want to fucking hear from you about fighting ever. I don't want to hear from you about the UFC. I don't give a shit about your opinion because you don't know the first thing about fighting. And there are so many people out there, and I'm fucking sick of it, guys. There are people out there invading this space. Man. They don't know the first thing about fighting. They don't know the difference between an Americana and a Kimura. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear from you. That's why you have Ringside Report, because we actually know what the fuck we're talking about.
Dave, you're absolutely right. And a lot of these guys, like, I'm looking at the feed, and I realize that, like,
Fred, am I wrong?
Like Acme said
yes, you're wrong.
We need to bring in the casual fans. How can you be
wrong,
Fred?
AJ, right. if you're just gonna agree with Dave, just let me talk instead.
No.
You're
like
wrong.
Let me.
I'm not just agreeing. It's because a lot of guys that are analysts in other sports who become MMA experts. Wait, hold on this. These are the same guys when they saw jiu-jitsu or they saw the guys on the ground grappling. They're like, oh, these guys are just hugging each other and they're making love with each other. They don't understand the basic principles of MMA, which means MMA, most people think the UFC is a sport. That's the problem. The thing is this. MMA is a mix of martial arts where you develop a certain skill in different disciplines to apply in the octagon, where a lot of these guys don't understand that the grappling game is the hardest game to understand. I'm a stand-up guy. I love stand-up, but it's easier to learn stand-up than it is grappling. And if you can't understand those basic principles,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I disagree with that, 100%. AJ. I am a much better grappler than I am a boxer. Let me tell you.
No, that's what I said.
You said it's much hard. You said it's much easier to learn stand-up than it is grappling. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, no, stand-up is easy to learn, man.
Grappling has come far more naturally to me than stand-up, than understanding. Like, I've done Muay Thai, I've done some boxing. You know, there's only so many
taken
to that like I've taken to grappling, right?
Listen, wrestling and jiu-jitsu is a
Let's
sport.
Let's not turn this into
it's harder.
I don't know. AJ, I disagree. Look, that's okay, AJ. I disagree, and Fred's right. Let's not turn this into what's harder than what, because they're
all hard.
Exactly. They're all hard, and everything is nearly impossible to master. That's the other thing that's beautiful about all the martial arts, AJ, is that they're all very challenging and nearly impossible to master, and you're constantly learning.
Chi energy stuff.
So, okay, take it easy, AJ. So the people that are not constantly learning and not constantly improving and evolving their knowledge base about martial arts by being in the gym and practicing martial arts, I just don't have time to listen to those people's opinions. And I understand, and it's totally fine that they go out there and they talk MMA. They have to fill time. And I like when people talk about the UFC and promote the sport, and I think that's great. And we need casual fans just as well as we need the hardcore fans.
Yes.
But I don't want to hear the opinion about the sport from a hardcore fan or from a casual fan, because their opinion really doesn't mean very much when they're trying to analyze a sport. When they try and tell me that, well, these guys didn't grapple because of COVID-19. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the opinion of an amateur.
I want to hear it.
I don't want to hear a dumb opinion.
Look at the content he just gave us.
It's just for jokes.
You don't want to hear it?
No, but he's not the only one. There are so many guys out there, and usually it's not that funny. They just have these kind of weak opinions about fighting. They don't know what person is in what weight division, and I just rather they not go there because they just seem kind of they look dumb because they don't have all the information. And when I listen to them, I'm just like, yeah, no. Like, it goes the same for pro wrestling. I don't want to hear from people that don't know what they're talking about. But I feel like in MMA, it happens way more. Like, I feel like people that talk about pro wrestling seem to know what they're talking about way more than people in MMA. I mean, it happens. It happens on both sides for sure. But it's just, it's shocking to me to hear people try and analyze the sport when they really don't know the first thing about it. Like, why try and bullshit people when you could just, take it from a different angle? You don't have to be a martial artist to be a UFC fan and to know a lot about the sport, right? You can know all the names, you can know all the fighters, and you don't have to have ever stepped foot in the gym. But take it from that angle. Talk about the fighters, talk about the matchups, talk about the stories. Do that, fine. But don't come in and try to analyze a fight because you expose yourself, and it's obvious that you don't know shit. And there's so many of those guys out there that, because they follow MMA, they think they also have to analyze the fight. But look, if you want to be one of those guys that can also analyze a fight, get into a gym and learn some shit. That's what I did, years ago. I had a show. I started talking about the UFC. I went to a UFC show. I went to a TKO show, and I said, you know what? I need to learn this shit so I know what I'm talking about. And since then, I've been doing martial arts, and that's, 12, 13, 14 years ago at least. It's been probably 15 years at this point, right? So it's been a long time. And I did this, and I put in the work so that I would know what I'm talking about. And, hey, it just so happened that I fell in love with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it all worked out for me. And you probably will, too. A lot of these guys, they will fall in love with martial arts if they go and practice martial arts. That's basically what I'm saying is you should all be practicing martial arts because you'll be better for it. Now, unfortunately, you can't go out and do that right now. But one day you will be able to, and it will be good times. It will be fun. And I want to give a shout out to Patrick C. Hamilton, who says, those idiots are a dime a dozen. You dudes know your stuff. Thank you, Patrick. I agree with you 100%. Fred does not agree with you. Fred thinks that I'm being too harsh on these guys. Antoinette says, you guys are the best. Thank you, Antoinette. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your love on the Super Chat very much. And we appreciate all MMA fans. If you train in mixed martial arts, if you train in jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or wrestling or whatever you do, or not, we appreciate you, and that's cool, but you're not going on TV trying to say, well, he should have done this, and he should have done that, and if he would have done this and closed the distance, it's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. That's nonsense. I just don't want to hear nonsense on TV. I was watching TV last night, I saw some nonsense, and it pissed me off a little bit.
Whoa.
That's where this comes from. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say what channel I was watching, but let's just say I saw some people on TV last night. They were talking about the UFC, and I was like, do you guys know the first thing about the UFC? What the hell are you talking about? It was weird.
Was it French or English side?
I'm not going to go any further.
Come on, Dave.
It was in English.
Oh, we're getting somewhere.
No, you're not going to uncover anything. Fred, I recognize that not everybody's going to train and not everybody's going to be wanting to do
you're not going to like
arts.
my answer, man. I let you go for all along, but I got such a simple answer to you.
Let's hear it, Freddie.
I love it.
If you don't like somebody, just don't listen to him, man.
Well, no, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, well,
you're right.
all right. So
Freddie.
then just turn off the TV.
No, well, I do, and I have never seen these people, and a lot of these people, are on
and
regularly.
it's good that other people talk about MMA, even if they don't know what it is.
Sure.
It's good for the sport because I don't want to go back to a time where nobody watches it, where it's like this fringe sport that's like people don't understand. Look, you're going to get stupid question, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask.
I
So,
agree.
yeah, man.
I
mean,
agree.
embrace, man.
Sure.
Embrace.
Yes, I agree with you. But I don't want to hear
Virtual hug to
somebody.
Stephen A.
I don't want to hear
Well, 6
somebody
feet apart.
pretending to be an expert. That's all. Don't pretend to be an expert. Either be an expert or sit on the sidelines. Don't pretend to be an expert, because then you're just lying to people.
I mean,
Get him on
we're
the
all
show,
done
Dave.
at
Get
some
him on the
point.
show.
No.
Let's ask him.
Fred, you and I and AJ, we are in this space, and a lot of these people that don't know what
Trust
the hell
me,
they're
somebody
talking
thinks
about.
we're dumb.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
for
Somebody
sure.
out there thinks we're dumb.
That's okay. They're allowed to their opinion. Like those
well,
people,
they
like
must be
there's
really
things.
smart then. I don't know, or really dumb, and they just don't get it. I don't know.
We're all everybody's dummy.
True.
Well,
Good
that's
point.
true.
Good point. That's true.
true.
He's got a point there, Dave. He's got a point.
AJ,
Freddie always has
AJ,
that
you
one-
know that pretty well, right? I'm kidding. I'm kidding, AJ.
Story-
I love you,
it's
brother.
all right. Story
Don't
of my
hurt me,
life. Story of
because
my life.
AJ's the most dangerous and accomplished martial artist of the bunch. So I'm saying that, AJ, at a safe distance from you, because I know you can't come near me, because you're a former jiu-jitsu world champion and you're a badass motherfucker, and that's why I love you on the show, because you're hilarious, but also you know what you're talking about. You may have opinions about martial arts that are completely off the wall and ridiculous, and I may disagree on 99% of things with you, but I know that your understanding comes from a place of knowledge, right? You know what I'm saying, Fred? With AJ, he may be ridiculous sometimes, but at least we know that he is coming from a place of real, on-the-ground martial arts experience, because AJ's been doing martial arts for, as we said, over 85 years.
Look, like there's certain things that I see, and like some people are like, why are they doing that and whatnot. I've seen like different decades of like martial arts and the ways that people like change their training regimens and whatnot. But it all comes down to this: is that like I'm not like some people on the field are saying, listen, it's important for the casual fan to at least hear about the UFC, and it's true. But the thing is that
Yeah.
you got to be knowledgeable when you're at a certain level, especially like a Stephen A. Smith with ESPN and whatnot. I mean, you're going to be feeding the minds of a lot of the American base that are tuning into the UFC
So you need,
for probably the
so
first
you need
time.
a government certificate that says that you're good enough to talk about MMA.
No,
I mean, that's
listen,
awful
no.
what you guys are saying.
no,
Look, I'm not
No,
saying that.
not
Here's
at
what
all.
I'm saying.
Not at all.
Here's what I'm saying is that I happened to catch some people on TV talking about MMA. I was surprised. It was a sports talk thing. And I was surprised at how little they actually knew, and I was surprised at the lack of understanding for the sport, the basic lack of understanding, okay?
Let me give you an
that-
example that hurts
and
me.
that's all. It's fine. You could talk about it all you want, and it's cool. I'm not going to watch you because I know too much. And there are some people out there who don't know that much. But this is what bothers me, Fred, and this is, I think, why I'm mad about it, is because there are some people out there who don't know as much as we do and may watch some of these people and think that they know what they're talking about, and then they're going to continue to spout those views, and it's just wrong. And I don't like misinformation being out there. Fake news, Fred. I don't like the fake news in the UFC sports media landscape.
There's no better way to learn the sport than by living it. So go do it.
Yeah, but like,
Go do
listen,
grappling. Go do Muay Thai. Go do something.
You can't, Fred. You can't.
Look, Dave. You know what? You know who I think would be great at the top? Somebody like a Chael Sonnen, someone who's like out there, mind you, maybe like push away his political views, but like if someone is going to be an analyst like on one of these major chains, I'll listen to whatever Chael says, or I'll listen to something that Matt Serra says. These are the guys that I'll really believe, because if you look at a lot of analysts in the NFL, a lot of them are former football players. And the same thing in baseball, and the same thing in basketball. And if I'm not mistaken, Stephen A. Smith he played basketball, so he has a good knowledge of that base. So you can talk shit when you've done it, but that's it. That's my rant.
That's
Forget
it. I'm not going to pretend to understand what the triangle offense is. He shouldn't pretend to understand what a triangle choke is. Okay? That's it.
Exactly.
I don't pretend. Why does he have to pretend? You want me to come here and pretend about basketball? I've done it before. Remember last time we talked about Stephen A. Smith? I was like, you got to break it down and the bulls and the whatever. You could pretend.
Who
you
would
could pretend
win?
if you want to, but it's not that fun,
97 Bulls or 86 Celtics?
Oh, for sure you got to go with the
Ooh.
97 Bulls. You had Jordan, you had Rodman,
Exactly.
you had Pippen. The 86
Pippen,
Celtics,
man.
you had Larry Bird, and I'm sure some other basketball men on that franchise. They were good in the 80s, but there was no better team than the 97 Bulls because their uniforms were super sweet, and they had Michael Jordan. He was the best ever. And I like the documentary that they did about him, The Last Dance.
It's too much of it. It's too much of
Yeah,
a
I'm watching
love
it. Don't
fest.
tell me.
It's good.
They're
man.
not talking enough. They're not giving any dirt. It's just of a love fest for Jordan. It's like a big infomercial for Jordan and
Yeah,
Nike.
but it's Jordan, man.
It
Jordan was
worked.
the
I just
best.
bought some new Nike stuff. It worked.
Jordan.
You guys want to see my yellow pants?
Yeah, let's see them. Show the world what you've been showing us all day. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Dave Simon. It's retro back to the 70s. Dave Simon, show him, man. Bruce Lee. Here he is in the game of death. They are pretty cool. But why don't you get the top part, man? You need to get the top part. Can't you get the jacket?
Nike.
They're so nice, man. They are
Yeah,
so
man.
nice.
If I walked around with like the suit, you mean like a hoodie too? It'd be so
Yeah, man,
bright,
it'd
it'd
be
be blinding in the sun. I like the yellow sweatpants though. They're super comfortable.
They are. They're very cool, man. Very cool.
I ordered some shit off Nike. I got 2 pairs of sweatpants and I got some neon green shorts with the Jordan logo on them. They're pretty damn fresh.
Fred, Dave, as you're talking about clothing, let's not forget our guys that gave us some merch.
Thank you, Ruddy Lad. AJ, did you send out the prizes?
No, because I was going to ask you. I have to send them out this week.
Antoinette
kind of stopped me. Who's the winners, Dave? Announce the winner.
Well, I thought it was
Winners, the two
Antoinette
winners.
and Patrick.
There you go.
I thought
They're
it was
both
2 for
getting-
Antoinette and 1 for Patrick from
Yes, and
from
so-
Saturday night.
Derek John. Isn't it Derek
Was it Derek?
John?
Oh yeah, was it Derek John? All right, let's send 1
And
to
I think
Antoinette, 1 to Patrick.
Patrick gave it to Antoinette, but
Oh yeah.
anyways.
Okay, well, I don't know. Well, we'll find out from Patrick if he wants his shirt. If not, we
What
can
is
send
this, 90
we-
Day Fiancé?
AJ, don't
Look.
fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up, all right? We can send 2 to Antoinette if Patrick doesn't want his, but if he does, then we'll send 1 to Patrick, 1 to Derek John, and 1 to Antoinette. Okay?
There
Those
you
are the
go.
winners.
That's fair.
Those are the
Yeah,
winners
because
from
that's
Saturday
what-
night for our top
That's what
super
Ruddy Lad
chatters.
wanted.
All right,
Ruddy
good.
Lad, check them out.
Antoinette says,
By the way-
AJ, get on it. Okay, AJ, so get on it. Let's get back to the fights
Step
here,
your
guys.
game up.
There were some fights that we have to talk about. But first, let's do another Twitter rant. How about John Jones? Francis Ngannou picked up a nice win on Saturday night, and Jones went hard. Actually, Jones went hard on Glover as well, on Anthony Smith.
He deleted
Easy
the
there,
tweet
Jones.
supposedly.
He deleted one of the tweets saying,
What?
oh, good thing Glover didn't want Anthony Smith's TV or something. Because didn't,
Ooh.
right?
Low blow.
Because
That
a
was the
guy
robbery.
burst into Anthony Smith's house to rob him. So here's John Jones. Losing because of cardio is never acceptable. Anthony Smith talking about outlasting me to become a world champion. I'm not saying that.
What?
I'm not going there. Man, Uncle Glover ain't playing tonight. Glover Teixeira put an absolute beating on Anthony Smith last night. That fight should have been stopped way earlier than it was. It got stopped in the 5th round with a TKO, but my goodness, that thing was over. It was over in the 4th at least, right? Like, I said, look, if you're the corner between the 4th and 5th, I tweeted it out, you got to stop the fight right now. If you're his corner, you stop the fight. He walked into the corner, he's like, my teeth are falling out. They're
Yeah,
like,
that was
okay,
crazy.
breathe, Anthony, breathe. It's like, dude, my teeth are falling out. My face is caving in on itself. Bones are broken in my face. I'm losing years of my life in this fight right now. Get me the fuck out of here. My teeth are falling out. Breathe, Anthony, breathe. Come on, man. Fucking pull him out of the fight. What are you
I got a
doing?
question. Why isn't it allowed in MMA to throw the towel?
I don't know.
The only way a corner could stop a fight is like in between rounds.
Yeah.
But I mean, the towel should also exist. Like at some point, cornermen should have that opportunity to
They had
just
the
throw in the
opportunity,
towel.
though, and they didn't take it.
I know,
Even if
I
they
know,
had a towel,
I
they
know.
wouldn't have thrown it in. The referee had to save him, and the referee probably should have saved Anthony Smith late in the third or maybe at any point in the fourth round when it was clear he was completely done and just taking unnecessary damage. I feel like the referee let it go on for too long, but really the corner. Protect your guy. Everybody watching at home, the commentary team, everybody was talking about Anthony Smith is
You
done
saw the
right
clip
now.
of Glover apologizing?
Yeah, Glover was apologizing. We could play that too. That was real honorable from
awful.
Glover Teixeira, but it's just so sad. Anthony Smith doesn't have a team that really cares about him. I mean, it's just it was sad.
I mean, he
for
was
me
still
to watch,
tough.
man.
You can't listen. It's not like he didn't start off well. I mean, the first 10 minutes, I would say that Smith was doing pretty good, and then Glover just like went hardcore. So look, Smith is tough. There's no doubt about it. I agree with you that they should have stopped the fight within the rounds. But I think in the early days of the UFC, they used to throw in the towel, if I'm not mistaken. But that's the way it happens. I mean, Smith wanted to continue. If he didn't want to, he would have just like overruled his corner. But he wanted to continue, and you know what? I give him a lot of credit because it was a fantastic fight.
Well,
And-
what
and to
made
be
you
You
think
guys
he
take the
wanted to
decision
continue?
out of
Was
his
he
hands.
was he ever even given the option?
I think at that point there, when you're really like, I think he could have
No,
just
'cause
stepped
he has
away.
to-
That's it. It's done.
No,
It's done.
like I've seen that happen once locally, I remember in an event, but that doesn't happen where a guy just says, "No, I don't want no more."
Yeah.
Like it might have happened. Somebody's gonna find an example to correct me, but
Well,
it's not something that you see often. You need somebody to save the fighter from himself because Anthony Smith, he's a warrior. You said it.
Rory McDonald, if I'm not mistaken, stopped his fight against Lawler. Wasn't that he put out his hand and it's like no mass at one point? Do you remember that time?
No, the
So
referee
things-
stopped that. Here, let's
Yeah, he
listen.
stopped it, but
Like I
listen
said,
in.
there's an example here and there. But
Listen into the fight here. Let's see if we can hear the Glover and Anthony Smith audio where Glover's beating on Anthony Smith and he apologizes. Do we have it here? Oh, I'm not getting it. Oh, there
Come
we
on,
go.
Tech.
Hold on. Here we go.
You heard the corner of Teixeira saying he's giving up Glover.
Thought he had to play the job.
What?
Thought he played the job.
Yeah, it is what it is, buddy.
What are they saying?
So Glover goes, sorry, it's part of the job as he's hitting him. And then Anthony Smith underneath him, yeah, it is what it is. That's rough, man. It's something you don't
It is
really
what it
hear
is.
very often. I don't know, man. I felt bad for Anthony Smith. I feel like his corner should have stopped that fight. They let it go on for too long, and then boom, he was finished in that final round. It was just obvious he was done, and then, they just kind of got through with it. John Jones was having a good time watching the fight, and he was talking about the Ben Rothwell fight, and he was really interested in that one. Now here, let me see what it was Ben Rothwell and OSP, right? That happened last night, and John Jones was watching that, and he said he was visualizing it. Well, let's see here. I'll get you the tweet from John Jones. Here's John Jones. It was weird seeing OSP fight at heavyweight. Made it seem so much more real to me, especially knowing he was at 240 pounds. With a little more cardio, he could have been he would have been cherries? I don't get it. I was visualizing myself as him that whole night. And then Ngannou replies, how real it seemed to you, my friend. What an awesome tweet. How real it seemed to you, my friend. And then John Jones responds, seemed so real, Francis. All that power means nothing when your haymakers are too slow. I'm not most, my friend. And now, here, John Jones goes, who would you guys consider the quicker and more technical striker, Thiago Santos or Francis? If you guys think I wouldn't take this fight, you're insane. I have absolutely nothing else to prove as a light heavyweight. I'd love that big money fight right around now. Send the deal. John Jones says send the deal. He's ready to fight Francis Ngannou now. I don't think that's a
Give it
good
to
move
me.
for John Jones, man.
not
I
a
think
good
that
move,
Francis
man.
is way
No
too big
way.
and way too powerful, man. OSP looked undersized against Ben Rothwell, and he came up on the losing end of that fight. If that's a version of John Jones versus Francis Ngannou, it's not going to look good for John Jones. I don't like that fight for John Jones. I feel like John is not the sharpest that he has been right now. I feel like he's been a better version of himself. The John Jones that we've seen over the past couple of years is still one of the best fighters in the world, but I don't think he's as good as he was 4 or 5 years ago. I think that there is a difference in John Jones, and I think with Ngannou right now, a difference in what the heavyweight division is like. 4 or 5 years ago when John Jones was coming up and people were really talking about him going up to heavyweight, it was a different landscape at heavyweight. Cain Velasquez was there. Junior Dos Santos was there. They weren't as big. Francis Ngannou, that's a monster of a guy to go in there, especially as your first fight at heavyweight, especially as a test. I don't know, guys. I would usually pick John Jones against anybody, but I think I'd have to pick Francis Ngannou in that fight if it does take place.
And
You
that's
guys
why
pick
I want to
Jones?
see it.
Would you pick Jones?
I don't even care. No, I would probably pick Ngannou, but I still want to see it. I mean, too many boring fights at light heavyweight for John Jones. Like, I don't need to see all these rematches. Dominic Reyes. Look what
Weren't
just
you the
happened
one
with
pushing for that fight, though? Weren't you the one saying, Dominic Reyes, Dominic? AJ and I were
Well,
the ones
if he
saying we don't
stays
want to
at-
see it.
No. Wait. If he stays at light heavyweight, that is my opinion. Dominic Reyes should be next. But if he's finished with light heavyweight, great. And give me that Ngannou fight. I want to see him challenge. That's great. And I'll say another thing. It's great to see John Jones and Conor McGregor on Twitter, because every time I see them go on Twitter rants, I go, well, at least they're not getting in trouble. And you see, Twitter probably saves fighter from getting in trouble. Like, they'll say some stupid stuff and get in other type of trouble. But at least they're not getting into the bad trouble that they usually do. So John Jones and
Yeah, but-
Conor should stay on Twitter as much as possible.
Yeah, but Freddie, that didn't stop him not too long ago. But either or,
But he wasn't
he's
on
right
Twitter
about
no
one thing.
more. He went out.
No, you're right. You're right there. You're absolutely right. But the thing is that he's talking Ngannou. Did you see what Ngannou did to Jairzinho? Ngannou is beyond just sick. Yes, he had a couple of bad fights. Everybody does. But this is a different Ngannou. What he did to Jairzinho was ridiculous. And you know what? He does throw these haymakers, but those haymakers have a lot of power behind them. He's right. He doesn't have maybe the speed of Thiago Santos in a sense, with crisp jabs and following up with some good rights. He's throwing these bombs, and when he connects with his left and right, when he's throwing them, you are done. And the thing is that this is Ngannou. Did you see the type of shape that this guy was in? So you know what, Jones?
Scary,
I want to
man.
see that fight. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you to fight Ngannou because I don't think it's gonna happen.
Look, I would love
wanna
to see
see
him
it.
try. I'd like to see it happen. I'd like to see Francis Ngannou send John Jones into another dimension. I think it would be cool to see that, man. I wouldn't mind seeing John Jones fight Francis Ngannou, but I don't think that it's a smart first move up to heavyweight for John Jones. I think it's a little bit too dangerous. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. John Jones needs to fight Brock Lesnar. It would be a good test for the size. You're laughing, but I'm not kidding
I know,
around.
but you're right.
Brock is
You're
not
right.
in
You're
the
right.
WWE right now, okay? As far as I know, Brock is free to do whatever the fuck he wants right now. He can go fight if he wants to. Brock Lesnar, John Jones is the money fight that MMA needs. It would be gigantic pay-per-view numbers. As much as people like Francis Ngannou, forget it. Brock Lesnar, much bigger star. Brock Lesnar is a good test for the size, but he doesn't bring the danger or the skill that Francis Ngannou does. I mean, Francis Ngannou could destroy John Jones. He could knock him unconscious. Brock Lesnar isn't going to outstrike John Jones. If he hits him, he'll hurt him, but the danger with Brock Lesnar, you know what it is. He's going to take you down, and he's going to smother you, and that's what Brock Lesnar does, and that is not going to take years off your life if you're John Jones. So if I were Jones, I'd be poking around trying to see if that Brock Lesnar super fight is still around. They were talking about it a couple years ago. That, to me, is the fight to make for John Jones. If they can bring Brock out and get him in the cage again, John Jones is a pretty good, enticing fight for Brock Lesnar. If I were Brock, the money you would get for that fight, he's a smaller guy. It's not an unwinnable fight for Brock Lesnar, but it's certainly not an unwinnable fight for John Jones. And I think it's an easier fight. It's an easier fight than Francis Ngannou, and it's a bigger money fight than anything Jones could do right now. I think in the UFC, I don't think that there's a single guy in the UFC that John Jones could possibly fight that would make more money on pay-per-view than Brock Lesnar. Not one. Not even Daniel Cormier.
Brock Lesnar don't want nothing to do with John Jones, I would tell you, though. Brock Lesnar, look, he fought Mark Hunt last time he came back. Mark Hunt is a legit MMA fighter, but he's not John Jones. I mean, if Brock Lesnar comes back, it's to fight a guy similar to Mark Hunt. He's not going to fight John Jones. I don't believe that.
Well,
plus, I don't believe Brock Lesnar is coming back, period.
I don't know, man. I think that he might. I'm not sure that he's fully done. And the John Jones fight is just such a money fight. Look, I'm a fan. I want to see the big fights. I want to see the big pay-per-views. And I know that people would get excited.
Lesnar makes money against anybody.
Look, Stephen A. Smith would go crazy for John Jones, Brock Lesnar. Are you kidding me? There'd be wall-to-wall coverage on all the shows.
Of course.
It would be awesome,
but
man.
Brock Lesnar, period, gets coverage.
Exactly. But imagine if he fought John Jones. It'd be crazy. Come on, man. It would be massive. They could sell 2 million pay-per-views.
Not sure.
Listen, you know what? Overeem is fighting on Saturday. Overeem's first fight in the UFC was against Brock Lesnar. It was a money fight for both of them. You know what? I can see Brock Lesnar coming back and taking somebody like Overeem again to redeem himself.
Yeah, but
and then possibly
Overeem will destroy him again.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll see
Those are not winnable fights for Brock. Come on, Brock's not coming for a beating.
You don't think the John Jones fight is winnable?
No.
I think with the size advantage and strength advantage, I think Brock could
John
win that
Jones
fight.
Moves well enough. He starts kicking him in the leg. Brock then all of a sudden goes like, oh, wow, wait, we're allowed to do this?
Give me the fight. Give me the fight, Fred. I want to see it, okay? Just give it to me. Andrei Arlovsky fought last night. He beat Felipe Lins with a unanimous decision. Andre rides
Arlovsky
again.
against Brock makes more sense. Arlovsky against Brock makes more sense.
Brock would smash Arlovsky. Are you kidding me? Really?
That's why I say it makes more sense.
Too easy. Arlovsky wins.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Simone got a win over Ray Borg in a split decision. Nice win for Drew Dober over Alex Hernandez with a TKO. Drew Dober.
Amazing, Drew.
Nice win there. Really impressive. Ben Rothwell got the split decision win over OSP. That was a close fight. I like that one. Sajara Eubanks beat Sarah Morris on the prelims. Omar Morales over Gabriel Benitez. Brian Kelleher knocked out Hunter Azur, and Chase Sherman knocked out Isaac Villanueva. I want to get to the fights coming up on Saturday night here, guys. It is Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris. Of course, Walt Harris went through a pretty terrible time recently with the murder of his daughter, right? Stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter.
Yeah, very sad stuff there. And this will be his big comeback fight. I know ESPN is doing some sort of special on Walt Harris that I think is going to air tomorrow. They're fighting on Saturday. Alistair Overeem coming in right now as a plus 125 underdog. Harris minus 145 the favorite. We know the Reem. We know all about him. Walt Harris is coming off a bunch of wins. Sergey Spivak, Alexei Oleinik. He had a split decision win over Andrei Arlovsky that was overturned after he failed a drug test. But, he's looked pretty good in the UFC. This is definitely a tough test for Walt Harris, though. Alistair Overeem is never an easy fight, coming off a knockout loss to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Before that, though, he beat Alexei Oleinik and Sergey Pavlovich. So do not ever count out the Reem. Guys, what are your thoughts on this fight? How do you think Walt Harris does in here against Overeem? Freddie?
I got Overeem. I'm going to go with Overeem. I think, I don't know. Look, Overeem to me is the better fighter. Harris is the younger, more like in his prime probably, but I'm still going to go with Overeem. I think he's just a better fighter. Harris, he's a decent brawler and all that, but I'm not that high on Walt Harris.
Alistair Overeem, 45 wins, 18 losses as a professional MMA fighter. That's a whole lot of fights. He's only 39 years of age. Walt Harris, not that much younger. He's 36, but he's got a 13-7 record. Overeem has double the wins than Harris has fights. Harris has like 21 pro fights. Overeem has over 40 wins. Overeem has more wins than Harris has fights, which is pretty damn impressive. And that's why it feels like Harris is more in his prime, more kind of a younger fighter. But really, they're only about 3 years apart. Walt Harris has most of his wins by knockout. Overeem's going to have to watch out. But as long as he does, as long as he picks his spots, I think he should win. I feel like Overeem has the striking pedigree to stay away from Walt Harris, but we've seen it before. You know, Jairzinho had a kickboxing background, seemed like technically the better striker, but sometimes it doesn't matter when you're fighting a power puncher. If he lands that power shot, he'll put you to sleep. So, you know, Harris could win. Odds makers say he is going to win, but I'm going to go with the veteran, the technique, the skill. I'm going to go with Alistair Overeem in this fight.
Look, Overeem has a 3-inch reach advantage on top of being the skill that he has and being a veteran of the sport. He's actually going to be 40 years old on Sunday. So the fight is taking place Saturday. Sunday, he's 40 years old. And you know what? I got to give it to the old guys, because the old guys, you're looking at Arlovsky, Olenek, you know, you name it, Overeem as well. They're doing well. So, like, 40-year-olds in the heavier divisions are still carrying their weight. Being Overeem who he is with that 3-inch reach, I think it's going to be really hard for Harris. He's only fought, like, what was the last time? You said in July last year. It's been a while. So either he's coming in with heart, like sometimes, you know, to win for, you know, the situation that happened in his family, but realistically, he's fighting Overeem. It's going to be a tough one. But then again, you know what? We called a lot of fights for 249, and most of them were wrong, right?
Yeah.
But you just never know. You know,
yeah,
and it really
tough,
comes down
man.
to, like I said.
You know, we had a lot of picks for UFC 249 that did not go our way. It was, yeah. Things happen, man, but I'm going to go with the Reem. We're all going with the Reem here. Clean sweep with Overeem. Yep. All right, let's go to Claudia Gadelha versus Angela Hill in the co-main event. Odds makers have Claudia as a favorite, -200. Angela +170, the dog. Yeah, I agree with those odds. I think Claudia, you know, she's faced tougher competition. I think she'll probably take it.
Well, she's the better overall fighter. If you have to look at the two, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Dan Ige here taking on Edson Barboza. Ige is the underdog, +110. Barboza -130, the favorite. I'm not really understanding that. Dan Ige is on a ridiculous run. He's won 5 in a row. He's 13-2 as a pro. Edson Barboza is having some trouble. He's lost 2 in a row. Well, he's lost 4 of his last 5 to some tough fighters. He's for sure dangerous. He's a very good fighter, but I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Dan
It's the weight.
Ige.
But let's not forget that he's going down 10 pounds when a lot of guys in the fight circle have always said that Barboza is one of the most cut fighters on the roster. This guy is so cut. Like he literally, like I read reports on him, like his body fat percentage is closer to 0 than anything. How are you going to be capable of losing more weight, especially like a 10-pound difference going down? I mean, this is the only drawback for Barboza, because if you're talking Barboza, he's a beast, and he should have all right to win this fight. But let's not forget, it's not in his weight class. Yeah. He's gone down. With a guy who has a hard time cutting weight, I have no idea how he's going to do it. I really don't. Either he's going to take the fight and be overweight and lose 30% of his purse, just to get a fight so he can make some money, because I don't see this guy making weight. That's his biggest challenge, is going to be the scale.
Yeah, that's something I didn't really consider. He is usually a lightweight, and this fight is at 145 pounds. I think he's going to be in trouble here. I like Dan Ige in this fight. Freddie?
Barboza.
Oh, Freddie's got Barboza.
Oh, yeah.
Freddie, you still with us?
Yeah.
Eric
Freddie,
Anders.
come back.
He's like, Freddie, who
He's
you got?
listening to Stephen A. Smith. Man.
Yeah, that's
What's
it.
Stephen saying?
That's it. Eric Anders, your boy.
Our buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Takes on Christoph Jotko. Anders plus 155, plus 135, the underdog. Jotko minus 155, the favorite. Song Yadong and Marlon Vera will round up the main card. On the prelim card, Matt the Immortal Brown, will be fighting Miguel Baeza. Matt Brown, 39 years of age, has not fought since December, picked up a knockout win over Ben Saunders. He's actually picked up 2 straight knockout victories. I always like watching Matt Brown fight. He's the underdog here, plus 155, taking on minus 175 Baeza. So that one might be one to look into a little bit. And, Darren Elkins on the prelim card. Courtney Casey against Mara Romero Borella. So some fights, more fights on Saturday night. And then next Saturday night, the 23rd, they'll either be in Las Vegas or back in Jacksonville, Florida. UFC doesn't know yet.
How about this Fantasy Island thing? When's that taking place?
Don't know yet. Probably, I think June at the earliest, maybe July. It's not going to happen until at least June. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to that more than anything. I want to see the whole
why
cupola with this.
Why? I'm not sure why I'm asking, but why?
Because, man, it's all
it's
about the magic.
It's such more of a headache for the. Like, it went good in Jacksonville. Why would you change that? Like, stick to the model that works, man. Fantasy.
Man, no. They said that they're gonna do it. I know Dana. Dana doesn't lie. He's gonna do it.
Listen, it sounds like a matchmaking reality show.
Listen, we got to give Dana a lot of credit because you know what? A lot of people diss him, but let's look at what's happened in the last week.
You're out of credit to give, man. You give too much credit, man.
Listen, Fantasy Island is going to happen, and in the last week, we've had 2 fights, Saturday and last night, and they both are winners. They were both amazing cards, and like you were talking with some guys on the chat earlier, talking about the casual fans, you couldn't get better fights for the casual fans to get hooked on. So you know what, Dana White, I want to see Fantasy Island. If you have 3 tickets, you send us 3 because I'm definitely going. 6 feet apart from Dave and
I'm not
Fred,
going.
But
I'm not going to Fight Island. No, thank you. I'm not going. It sounds
is that what
crazy.
It is? Oh, yeah, Fight Island. I keep saying Fantasy
Island. Yeah, you
Island.
keep saying the wrong thing. All right, guys, I got to go back to my island and the Animal Crossing island, okay? So if anybody out there is playing Animal Crossing, I got my little buddies here with me just waiting because I got to go back to play Animal Crossing, all right? I played for like hours today, and I need more. I'm obsessed with this game. If anybody out there watching is playing Animal Crossing, hit me up on Twitter. We could be friends on Nintendo Switch, and you could come to my Animal Crossing island, okay? How about that? Before we go, I want to tell you a little bit about our friends over at Stitcher, of course. At the Ringside Report Network, we've been producing podcasts for a long time, and many of you have been using Stitcher to stream or download our shows, Wrestling Uncensored, Ringside Report MMA. Stitcher offering you the Ringside Report universe as part of their sponsorship of our work, a special offer on the premium version of their service. Now, besides all of our shows, you can listen to over 100,000 podcasts on your iPhone, Android, tablet, PC, Amazon Echo, or in your car on demand, ad-free with Stitcher Premium. You get Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. It's just $4.99 a month, $34.99 a year. What you want to do is go to Stitcher.com/premium right now, Stitcher.com/premium. Sign up today and use the promo code RINGSIDE for a free month of Stitcher Premium. That's Stitcher.com/premium, promo code RINGSIDE for a free month. And I will quickly tell you about our friends over at IP Vanished. You need a VPN. You need to secure yourself on the internet. VPN.ringsidereport.net. VPN.ringsidereport.net. IP Vanished. Download it. There are sales going on all the time. Check out the latest offer, a 30-day free trial for IP Vanish if you sign up this month. So this is a special offer for the month of May for the Ringside Report universe, vpn.ringsidereport.net. You go to IP Vanish and you sign up right now and you help support this very program, this very network. I want to thank our friends for watching.
Bravo.
I want to thank Patrick C. Hamilton, Jason Morneau Pete for that 200 Mexican. I love the Mexican dollars.
Jason.
Patrick C. Hamilton, once again, my main man. Antoinette out in Toronto. We love you. We appreciate you all. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, everybody, for sending us all the Super Chat. We really appreciate you guys supporting the sponsors, Super Chatting the show, and supporting this show and keeping us going. It really helps us do all the technology and all the new stuff that we have here for you. So thank you. Don't forget, I'll be back here with Johnny North tomorrow at 12:45 for Dave and Johnny Live. We will recap the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring featuring the Road Warriors. And then we will talk about Becky Lynch. Is Becky Lynch done with pro wrestling? Has she retired? Is it over for Becky Lynch? We will talk about that on Saturday morning on Wrestling Uncensored right here on the Ringside Report Network channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. When you do, click the bell so you get notifications every time we are on. Don't forget, always with us, always stay with us. We've got so much going on. This is just the beginning of a big weekend here for us on the channel. Dave and Johnny Live on Friday, Wrestling Uncensored on Saturday morning, and then we'll be back here for some more MMA talk next Thursday night, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. right here on Ringside.
Port.
Bring Brock back.
Port.
Port.